consumer rights. If you're going to a gig or event, because it follows an event over the weekend in Norwich where music fans are disappointed to find out the headliners UB40 featuring Ali Campbell wouldn't be performing due to illness. And on social media, attendees claim they didn't find out until just hours before the band were due to take to the stage. Organisers say that the event was a one-day festival and not a headliner with support show, and that they were proud of the great event they worked hard to produce. But I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Maybe you've gone somewhere, maybe it has been a festival, and that one act you were really looking forward to seeing then didn't show. Maybe it was because of illness. Maybe they pulled out at the last minute. And if that's happened to you, I mean, who was it and where was it? 0800 389 7321 to give me a call. You can WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Just make sure you pop Norfolk at the start. And when it comes to events, I mean, you only have to look at what's going on in this weekend in Norfolk alone for how much variety we've got here in this county. It's definitely that season where things are picking up. So where do we stand as consumers in this? And what do we do if there's a problem? Well, Scott Dixon is a consumer rights expert, dubbed the complaints resolver, and joins me. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, Kelly.
Oh, it's great to have you on. So we've just got one incident here, but I mean, it's not uncommon, is it, to hear of people having issues with events, is it?
It's not, and it's a big problem, but essentially it falls under the Consumer Rights Act 2015. And any events, goods, services, they ought to be fit for purpose as described in satisfactory quality. And this concert was sold as a headline act with UB40 to attend. And although, these things happen, it was cancelled at the last minute and things like that, the organisers ought to have insurance in place to cover that. And there's no reason why consumers ought to lose out. So the organisers aren't going to play ball. They're going to say, and I've read this online, that it was sold as a day event, an all-day event. That's not strictly true, is it? UB40 were the headline attraction, and people were enticed into buying a ticket to see UB40. So what consumers can do if the organiser won't give a refund is to contact your bank or credit card provider within 120 days and request a chargeback. So that essentially reverses the transaction, and the organiser has to dispute it, has to defend the dispute. So that's one way to get a refund if you haven't attended.
And we've had a lot of gigs called off at the last minute. I sort of think back to the Co-op venue. I know that's been quite a high-profile case that we've had. So when you do get those last-minute cancellations and things like that, I mean, what are your rights in those situations when something is cancelled last minute?
Well, essentially, what you need to stress to your bank is a breach of contract under the Consumer Rights Act 2015, because the organisers are just going to stonewall you and say, we're not giving refunds, and they're going to rely on spurious terms and conditions that are buried in the small print. But these are classed as key terms, and they need to be bold and transparent and prominent. And again, this is under the Consumer Rights Act 2015, Section 62 and Section 68, which has a requirement for transparency. So you need to be quite militant on it. And if the organisers won't give you a refund, just go to your bank. If you haven't been able to, if the contract hasn't been fulfilled and you didn't attend, just say breach of contract, you want a full refund. And you need to stress that to your bank, because often chargebacks are they're not honoured on the first attempt.
And I think as consumers, we'll often ask, won't we? We'll try our luck. And it's quite a British thing that when someone says no, we go, oh, okay then. And we put our tail between our legs, don't we, and wander off. But it sometimes does pay off to be a bit pushy, doesn't it?
It does. And if you did attend the concert and you enjoyed it, be reasonable about it. But also, equally, you could say that there was a loss of enjoyment because the headline act didn't perform. So you could request a partial refund, again, under the Consumer Rights Act 2015, because the event wasn't as described. So these are the key points that you need to stress to push for either a full refund if you didn't attend, or a partial refund if you did attend, if that's what you wanted to do.
And I guess as well with compensation, I guess if you travelled quite far and ended up with a cancelled event, or you've booked hotels, booked overnight stays, and we know, I mean, you only have to look at sort of Taylor Swift. We know how quickly hotels and things can rocket up when there is an event in the area. I mean, do you stand any chance of getting any of that reimbursed?
You don't, unfortunately, because they're classed as indirect consequential losses. So the hotel would say, well, you could still come to us and stay overnight and things like that. And the same with the train tickets or flights or whatever. They would say, well, you can still fly, you can still travel by train. So